Welcome all to the first round of the season for the RPM League here, the 1990 Brazilian Grand Prix. And it's a very wet Interlagos circuit here, introduced into F1 in 1972. We're at Interlagos, like mentioned before, in Sao Paulo in Brazil. The 1989 winner was obviously Jan Lammers for the Brazilian Grand Prix, but don't forget we were at Jacarepaguá for the last season. The course length here is 4.325 kilometers and the race length will be 71 laps. As you can see in the background there, the predicted weather, mixed conditions. We predict that there is going to be rainfall for the start of this session, and then as the race goes on, the weather might clear up, which might see a nice dynamic for the race. Let's now head to our starting grid and let's see who can be our first winner for the 1990 season here at Interlagos. And taking a look at the starting grid, it was Nelson Piquet taking pole position, the Brazilian carrying his form from 1989 into the 1990 season. The BMWs lining up in second and third, Bobby Rahal and Teo Fabi respectively. Mauro Baldi then in fourth position, the second Benetton actually qualifying in a better position than we would have expected, so fourth place for Baldi. John Nielsen then the first of the Ligiers in fifth, and Riccardo Patrese in sixth position for Williams. Then it was seventh place for Alain Prost, the Frenchman, with a average qualifying performance. Tyrrell will be hoping for more during the race. Jan Lammers, the current world champion, lines up in 8th position, and also Zach Speed hoping for a little bit more, but Jan Lammers has the skill and ability and that championship under his belt to do more. Satoru Nakajima lines up for Honda inside the top 10 with his P9 position. Then Michael Andretti in the Ferrari lining up in P10. Then comes Ross Cheever, the lead Ferrari driver, with a poor qualifying performance. And then it's Maurizio Gugelmin in 12th place. Roberto Moreno for Eurobrun in 13th. Then comes Mika Hakkinen, the second Ligier, far behind his teammate John Nielsen in 5th position. Then comes Ayrton Senna, the second Tyrrell. Senna also having a poor qualifying performance, lining up wide a ways behind his teammate and is looking to better his performance during the race session. Nigel Mansell now with his full return into F1, only with a 16th place. Let's hope he can improve that throughout the season. JJ Lito then the second Honda in 17th place, and then Jean Alesi in 18th for Minardi. Then comes Alonso Jr. with a really disappointing qualifying performance with the Williams, who were tipped to be challenging for a championship, and Alonso Jr. should have done better really. Let's see how he can fare throughout the race. Eddie Lawson then in 20th, and then the two Lotuses of Ivan Capelli and Keiji Matsumoto to round off the grid. Let's head into the race. So we are here for the 1990 season, the first round of the season, and it is Nelson Piquet lining up on the front row alongside. He has Bobby Rahal as we wait for the light to turn to green, and we're off in a very rainy Interlagos circuit. And we have Piquet heading into turn 1, but it looks like Bobby Rahal is going to go side by side into turn 1, trying to get the move done on Nelson Piquet. And that is not going to work for the American in the BMW, as Nelson Piquet leads, heading down to the Reta Oposta. And we see in the background there John Nielsen trying to fight for position as Bobby Rahal up the inside he goes. And Nelson Piquet drops back now. But man, are the conditions ever so tricky. And we have a spin. It is Satoru Nakajima, I think, as we try to get a visual on what happened. I think Nakajima had a little moment where he went off track in the rainy conditions, and that drops him back all the way to the back of the field. In the lead now we have Bobby Rahal, and we have Nelson Piquet fighting off teammate Teo Fabi now. Teo Fabi in the second BMW, of course. Looking very strong so far throughout the weekend. But it is Bobby Rahal taking the lead in lap 1 and heading on to lap 2 now in the ever-increasing spray. of this wet Interlagos, but it is a good start as well for John Nielsen in 4th, and then we have a little bit of a break. Mauro Baldi actually with a pretty good qualifying session, fastest lap now for Real, of course. Then we have the first Williams of Riccardo Patrese. We have the current world champion in Jan Lammers, not enjoying the same success that he had early on last season. Oh, and it turns from bad to worse as Satoru Nakajima pulling off with a puncture. And that will be an early retirement for Nakajima. Maybe that off in the gravel, causing some sort of damage to the tire. And that will be our first retirement of the race. Nakajima out for Honda. And it's not a good start for the freshly debuting team of Honda. But yeah, we can see there the marshals working fast to get that car off the track. But 2 laps in and we already have a retirement. To be expected, of course, in this 1990 season. New set of regulations. Fully getting rid of the turbocharged era, and reliability might be an issue for some of the teams, as Rahal still leads, but Nelson Piquet closely follows. And now further again, John Nielsen doing pretty good in the Ligier. Good qualifying session for him, as preseason was quite unclear about where they would line up. Now we have a fight here. Michael Andretti with teammate Ross Cheever. Ross Cheever not getting the best qualifying session in. The 2 Ferraris going toe-to-toe for P10. Somewhere where we're not we don't usually see the Ferraris lining up. They've been showing that they've been quite vulnerable early preseason, and oh, big moves happening here as Michael Andretti loses another 3 positions in one go, and Andretti really not enjoying the wet weather here, as Hakkinen now also not having the best qualifying session compared to his teammate, leads in front of Moreno. And Hakkinen really looking to improve this season. He has made that clear to team boss Justin Dijkstra. He wants investment from the team in his ability to race. And let's hope he can get a good start of the season here, which would be inspiring, or would grow the confidence of the young Finn. Mika Hakkinen now in P10, chasing down Ross Cheever, or trying to at least. And we have Alain Prost here. Alain Prost going for the move on Mauro Baldi. Down the straightaway they go. Out of the spray is Alain Prost into turn 1. There is a bit of a dry line on the outside, so Baldi might hold on. But it turns to the wet line, and Alain Prost is through in 7th place for Tyrrell. And Tyrrell not having the best of qualifying sessions. I feel they kind of underperformed there. As we also see Ross Cheever now slowly making his way through. He's also passed Baldi. So Baldi, after initially having a really good qualifying session, now slowly dropping back through the field. And, well, expectations are not too high from team boss Rackster, but they would be hoping that Baldi would at least stay in the points today, I believe, especially when qualifying in 4th. But Baldi so far lines up behind Ross Cheever in the wet weather here. Let's see, with maybe some slipstream, he can hold on, but Cheever really making a difference in the wet here in that underpowered Ferrari. And then let's see here, just outside the top 10, we now have Roberto Moreno in the Jägermeister Eurobrun, heading down the straightaway with Ayrton Senna right behind. And will Senna be able to try a move here? It's a pretty long straightaway here at Brazil, and Senna moves to the inside. Moreno will try to defend on the outside. Will Moreno try to defend? No, it's clean out braking maneuver by Ayrton Senna. And he moves up into 11th place. And then a bit of a disappointing session for Al Unser Jr. as he's only in 13th. But now also trying to make the move on Roberto Moreno. And, locks up Unser Jr. Locks up now. And now that leaves him vulnerable to Michael Andretti behind in the Ferrari. So yeah, Unser not having the best of starts in the Williams, as Williams has been looking very promising, showing that they might be a championship contender throughout this season. But Unser right now not being able to settle in. Of course, first race of the season, drivers will be trying to find their feet and getting used to the characteristics of their cars. And Unser so far not in the happiest of places, but we won't write him off, as Nelson Piquet now fighting for the fastest lap, as he's right onto the back of Bobby Rahal. And we could see behind as well Theo Fabi and John Nielsen in that Ligier. Tries to move to the inside. Aggressive defense from Theo Fabi, not ready to give up that position. And Riccardo Patrese in the Williams right behind them, waiting for an opportunity to get by the pair in front of him. John Nielsen making that move to Ligier, of course, coming from Zach Speed, where Jan Lammers still resides. And yeah, Nielsen really looking for a bit of redemption. Was outperformed severely by Lammers last season, but also quite unlucky on the reliability department. And now we can see Patrese there. Nielsen, bit of a wiggle. And that made Patrese very cautious, trying to move, as we see Jan Lammers there also getting in on the action. On board here with Nelson Piquet on the inside of Bobby Rahal. Will he be able to manage something here? Let's see. No, Rahal outbreaks him into turn 1, and Piquet will have to find another tactic, try to get through in a different way. Theo Fabi now in 3rd. Maybe slowly trying to pull away from Nielsen behind, but Nielsen has looked fast, as we now see the current world champion in Jan Lammers, the first ever Dutch champion, moving up into P5. So even in the Zach Speed, who is not Zach Speed hasn't exactly looked impressive in pre-season, average at most, and Lammers showing why he's the world champion as he moves up into 5th place past the Williams of Patrese. We can see now Alain Prost has caught up to the top 5 now. And he is also waiting for his opportunity. Obviously in the wet here, the Tyrrell with the slightly underpowered Ford engine shouldn't have any issues, as this is where driver skill really comes into play. And again, we have a fight here at the front. Nelson Piquet again on the inside of Bobby Rahal. Can he manage anything? No, it is Fabi with the fastest lap, but Piquet just struggling on the straightaway right now. Benetton, with their improved Ilmor Haas package this season, has looked promising, but not quite at the level of the BMWs. And a move here to the inside. And a big defense as they get very close. Bobby Rahal and Piquet, and the fight at the front is heating up. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is an incident between these two, as Piquet seems to be getting very impatient with Rahal. And yeah, Rahal definitely slower here through this middle section as they head through Pineirinho and then down to Bico do Pato and then down to Mergulho. And there's a spin, I believe. There's a spin somewhere at the back. Someone trying to rejoin Roberto Moreno. Roberto Moreno in the Eurobrun has had a spin all the way to the back of the field now. And yeah, this will be an uphill battle then for the Eurobrun driver. Rahal now again fighting off PK. PK just doesn't have the straight line speed right now. And we can see the rain has stopped. So this might change the dynamic of the race, as the dry line is clearly forming now. And this is maybe where we start seeing the BMW stretch its legs, because obviously PK being able to make a big difference with the engine deficit he has to that BMW in the rain. But as the track dries out here, BMW might be making more of a statement, as there's now a second in between PK and Bobby Rahal. And then as we head into the middle sector, once again, the track still pretty wet in the middle sector. So let's see how our drivers manage that. Oh, and more issues for Eurobrun, as there's smoke coming out of the back of the Eurobrun for Nigel Mansell. Oh, and it's an engine fire. It's an engine fire for Nigel Mansell. And we can see there Michael Andretti right behind him trying to maneuver his way around, but there's black smoke and fire coming out of the back of the Eurobrun, and that will unfortunately be an early exit for Nigel Mansell, who is looking to revitalize his career with Eurobrun and team boss Junk Boots. But that will be the end for Mansell, and he will unfortunately be the second retirement of the race. Very unfortunate for Eurobrun here to start of the season in the way that they have, with Moreno now at the back and Mansell unfortunately out of the race. See here. Let's hope Mansell gets out of that car anytime in the near future. So Rahal still at the front, PK not too far behind. Then we have Theo Fabi in third place, so a 1-3 for BMW right now. John Nielsen still in fourth, managing to hold on pretty well as Lammers tries to chase him down. And then we have Patrese in the Williams, and then Alain Prost, who is very close. Actually, a bit of a wiggle there. As, yes, there comes the official announcement that Mansell is out of the race. The marshals working hard to get that car out of the way. And, yeah, Prost trying to get inside the top six, obviously. We've said it so far that, the rules have changed when it comes to the point system, and the top 8 score points in the Retro Prix Managers League. So Prost inside the points right now, with Cheever in the last of the point paying positions. And then there's a big gap to P9. Mauro Baldi still inside the top 10, so not too bad, but still P4 in qualifying and now P9 in the race so far. So I'm sure Team Boss Raxer is expecting slightly more from the Italian, but at the same time, he's not at the level of PK. And we now have Alonso Jr. As the track dries out, it seems like the American is finding more confidence in the Williams and slowly but surely dragging himself up the order. Has gotten past Ayrton Senna, who seemingly is struggling here so far. And, big issues for Michael Andretti in the second Ferrari, as it looks like a right front suspension issue there, as the wheel is just lifted up, and at the same time, Maurizio Gugelmin in the Minardi going very slowly. Eddie Lawson stuck behind the Minardi there. And, again, smoke coming out of that Minardi. And one might wonder how long Gugelmin can carry on. Can he perhaps even get to the pits and fix this issue? No, it is a blown engine. All of the engine just gave way. And Maurizio Gugelmin now Pulling off to the side of the track to a safer location, and that will be the Minardi out of the race. So reliability already taking a toll here early on in the season. Meanwhile, we still have Bobby Rahal leading. There is Gugelmin still in this car, pondering his life choices. Was Minardi the right choice? Did I really have to do this? Should I get out of the car or just stay here forever? Oh, there's a marshal there, running across the field. Very fit to be able to just sprint across the field like that. But anyway, top four remains the same. And we have Lammers now being chased down by Patrese again. And the official announcement there, Maurizio Gugelmin out of the race with an engine issue. So 13 laps in, and we only have 18 runners remaining. So 4 DNFs already. And yeah, the early season here, the first round already taking a toll when it comes to reliability. As Patrese still just trying to get onto the back of Jan Lammers. And again, I think as the track dries out, it should play into the favor of the BMW powered car. So obviously the BMW itself, and then the Williams car as well, as the yellow flag still being waved. So yeah, those BMW powered cars are definitely going to benefit from the dry running, as we've seen on dry fast tracks. They have the advantage, that is for certain. And Patrese now slowly trying to find his way up to Jan Lammers again. Alain Prost in 7th, and there comes Ross Cheever. Obviously, Cheever traded to Ferrari. It was a swap with Maurizio Gugelmin, who has gone to Ferrari, who we've now seen retire, of course, from the first race. And yeah, Ross Cheever, definitely one of the bigger talents of the sport. Has proved himself in Minardi last seasons. And has really gotten a bit of a reputation of well, dragging up an underdog car where it shouldn't be. And by all means, the Ferrari shouldn't be an underdog, but their early season hasn't looked too promising when it comes to car performance. But Ross Cheever definitely trying to drag it up to the best position he can. And then also comes the fact that Ferrari has a new sponsor, as Rahal now puts in a fastest lap the first 22 of the race, and then Lammers beats it instantly. We can really see the track drying out now, so track getting faster and faster. But yes, Ferrari getting a new main sponsor in LOT, the Polish airline company. The LOT trying to break through in the well, in the Western market, really. Obviously, we're in South America right now, but F1 largely watched in Europe, and that's where LOT is trying to break in to after building themselves up past the Soviet era, I suppose, and now ready to expand into the West. And now we have Cheever still chasing down Alain Prost. I think if we take a look a bit further back, we have Mika Hakkinen trying to get past Mauro Baldi. I'm wondering if we have a couple of cars that might be slightly stuck behind Baldi. So, yeah, Baldi just about managing to hold on to P9. As Hakkinen, Al Unser, Ayrton Senna, and JJ Leto all lining up behind, ready and waiting for a move, really. As Hakkinen goes slightly defensive from Al Unser Jr. And Al Unser Jr. now, as we've said, as the track is drying out, he's looking more and more promising. Now, can he try something down the Reta Opposta? Here comes Al Unser Jr. Ooh, has to get onto the wet stuff as Hakkinen goes defensive, and no way through for Al Unser Jr. Hakkinen will hold on to P10, but all the while dropping back from Mauro Baldi as well, of course. And then a bit further up, it is Jan Lammers, who has nearly caught up to the back of John Nielsen in front, but also Riccardo Patrese once again getting closer now. And Patrese here on the straightaway might have something to say about Lammers, and here we go. Fastest lap by PK now, and here comes Riccardo Patrese up the inside of Jan Lammers. Will he make this move? No, Lammers clean around the outside, holds on to his position, outbreaks Patrese, but Patrese will have a second bite of the cherry as they come down the Reta Opposta. Here comes Patrese, again pulls out. Does Lammers defend? Yes, he does. And he's not ready to give up the position to Patrese, but they are also losing time to John Nielsen. And, yeah, we have Ross Cheever also just waiting for an opportunity to get past, because he's a bit stuck in no man's land, far ahead of Mauro Baldi behind, and then 3 or so, nearly 4 seconds behind Alain Prost in front. Mauro Baldi still leading this little train behind of him. And you'd think it's only a matter of time before one of them finds a way through. As there's actually Nelson Piquet here, who's managing to gather some pace, as we did see him put in the fastest lap. And he's now getting his first pit call. We do expect 2 pit stops for all the teams here today. As Leto also getting a pit call now. Oh, and PK, as he gets his pit call, transmission failure. Complete failure of PK, and his transmission instantly out of the race, PK. That was very sudden. But that will be the end of the race of the leading Benetton, who was definitely on his way to challenge Bobby Rahal for a race win here, but that will be the Benetton out of the race after a promising qualifying session and a, well, up until now, good racing session, but yeah, PK out of the race. It moves up John Nielsen in the Ligier to P3. And, man, talk about being unlucky. Maybe the pit call was more a call to come in for PK, as maybe the team aware that something was going wrong. But now it will be Baldi trying to salvage something here for Benetton in the first race of the season here at Interlagos. And JJ Leto now the first to come into the pit, the only Honda remaining, so not what Honda would have wanted for their first race. But the team get working fresh set of tires on. Obviously, we'll go to the dry tires now, surely. And a 5.1 second stop, and maybe the potential here on some fresh, slick tires to make a difference. Oh no. Oh no, it's a disaster for Leto. He's come out of the pits and spun. He spun coming out of the pits. He wasn't even out of the pit road yet. And just completely misjudged it. Maybe a bit of a wet exit on the pit there, but disaster for Leto as his undercut turns into a complete time loss. And manager Kovtek will be hands in hair, I'm sure, shaking his head as Leto, the only remaining Honda now, has made the race even harder for himself. And let's see here now as Theo Fabi now makes his stop. So the second BMW getting priority in the pits. And Fabi is able to manage a successful pit stop and exit of the pits, most importantly, as there's Al Unser Jr. there still having to make a pit, but he will try and make it hard for the BMW here. Unser on the inside. No, Theo Fabi just has superior grip on those slick tires on the dry line, and you can see Al Unser Jr. dropping back instantly. Yeah, let's just follow Theo Fabi around for a little bit here as the pits start to filter out. And Alain Prost also making a pit stop already. Maybe he can get an undercut. And the question being, of course, if those that were behind Mauro Baldi can also get some sort of an advantage by pitting before him. We all in the pits now. Let's actually see if... oh no, I totally forgot. I was going to say, let's see if PK comes out ahead, but no, PK, of course, having that transmission failure right before his pit call. And I'm sure he would have given BMW a hard time. But Al Unser Jr. still in 5th position right now. Not ready to come into the pits just yet, it seems. And I'm sure it will be Bobby Rahal taking the lead of this race again. So here comes Mauro Baldi out of the pits. Senna not too far behind. There is Leto then. So Leto's still gaining some times, I suppose, but yeah. It's been a massive time loss in the pits there, no doubt. And 21 laps in now. Leto in 11th place, so just outside of the top 10, which is not too bad considering that spin in the pits. So we now keep an eye on Cheever and Lammers. Lammers coming in now as well. Let's see. He's out as well. Fabi now with the fastest lap, 22 flat. And Lammers comes out. Will it be P3? No, P4 now. Obviously, Al Unser still having to pit. Jan Lammers coming out in P4, so current world champion in a perfect position here. Not too far off the podium place. And if Al Unser comes in for his pit stop, then Lammers will take E3. John Nielsen not too far behind. Then comes Alain Prost, Riccardo Patrese, Ross Cheever, Mauro Baldi, and then Ayrton Senna rounding out the top 10. Right on board now with Bobby Rahal in a comfortable, nearly 5-second advantage over his teammate. Bobby has already made his pit stop as well, so BMW 1-2 right now. It is looking very good for the German outfit after their horrible seasons, or season last time around. Of course, it was Williams that also had pretty disappointing seasons over the past 2 years. On board here with Nielsen, and then handing over to one of the Lotus cars, even Capelli still running. So yeah, Lotus did fairly well last season, but their expectation was, of course, to fight for the championship, and that didn't at all happen, really. They ended up P3, quite a ways off Ferrari and Zach Speed, suffering from reliability issues throughout the season, which saw Kovtek getting, well, not quite released to the team, but it was a swap with Pedro Diaz from McLaren at that point, now turned into Honda, of course. So Pedro Diaz now at Lotus, Kovtek at Honda. But the Lotus having looked off pace through most of the preseason. Capelli, of course, trying his best to drag that car up into somewhat of a representative position, but then you can see teammate Keiju Matsumoto just struggling with the car, struggling maybe with his driving ability. Of course, I think the oldest driver on the grid now, and age possibly starting to show for Matsumoto, I suppose, but I think the sponsor of Japan Tobacco for Lotus and Pedro Diaz was just too tempting to not take, and now we have a disaster here for Ligier. The Ligier of John Nielsen pulls to the side as another suspension failure strikes, and Nielsen will not complete this race, and was looking so promising to end up in at least a top 5, I would imagine. But yeah, no luck there for the Ligier and Justin Dijkstra. Hakkinen, of course, still in the race, so not all is lost, but yeah, disappointing, of course. See now, quite a precarious position as the yellow flags are out. Even Capelli now filtering through together with Roberto Moreno, who has been trying to salvage something for Eurobron. Still a long way to go for Moreno, but yeah, you might wonder how much time he can make up. Let's actually see what some of the last times were. So we have Moreno, the 22.5, which actually would put him very much inside the top 10, had he not had his spin early on. We can actually follow Capelli and Moreno around as Moreno getting closer and closer, and down the straight we go towards the start-finish straight. And can Moreno try something on even Capelli here? See, he is inching closer, but not enough for now. Maybe if he gets a good run out of the first S section here. Down the straight they go. Reta Oposta. Still yellow flags out for the Ligier of John Nielsen, and slightly defensive goes Capelli. So Capelli now under pressure in his Lotus. And Lotus, of course, bringing back a reminiscent livery of what would have been John Player Special, I suppose, but JPS was switched out for Camel in this case, but a very striking livery with the black and gold, of course. And 16 runners remaining so far in this opening race. It's been tricky conditions, of course. And well, shaky drivers, first race of the season, tricky conditions. It's always going to be a tough race. Really now down the straightaway, and yeah, Moreno just seemingly losing out a little bit when it comes to the exit onto the start-finish straight, and it's just not able to get anywhere close to Capelli. And it is a disaster. Another failure there. Bobby Rahal, he was streaking away to a victory in that BMW, but here is where reliability comes to play. Bobby Rahal possibly pushing too hard, and that sees his transmission give up, and it will make teammate Theo Fabi inherit the lead. Jan Lammers, current world champion, up into P2. Very unexpected, with Prost in third for Tyrrell. Then comes Patrese for Williams. Ross Cheever in fifth. Alan Sir Jr. sixth then in the second Williams. And then Mauro Baldi inside the points again for Benetton, with Senna in the last point scoring position. But it is a race of attrition, and it doesn't look like we'll have much finishers here in the first race of the season, as the Marshal... Oh, get out of the way. Oh, oof. Careful. Oh, and it's Bobby Rahal out of this race. And now Theo Fabi taking over that lead, the Italian in the BMW. And let's hope he can make it until the end. But, yeah, like we've seen, maybe the BMW early signs were promising in preseason testing, but might the BMW engine be a bit of a glass cannon? We'll have to find out. We'll have to give it a couple more rounds, but let's hope they can get the other car to the end of the race. So definitely some of the big names out of the race right now. Theo Fabi in front. But the retirement of Rahal, quite unexpected, together with that the retirement of Nelson Piquet. Looked like both of them were gonna challenge for a victory, and it is calamity for Ligier as smoke comes out of the back of the only remaining Ligier, and this might be the end for Mika Hakkinen, and it might be the end of Ligier at Interlagos. Let's see here. White smoke pointing towards perhaps a water leak for the Ligier, and I can't imagine Hakkinen will limp this back to the pits. Yellow flags are still out for Bobby Rahal, as Lady Lawson now in the second Zach speed, trying to find a way past Hakkinen, but we'll have trouble seeing something in that white smoke billowing out of the back of the Ligier, as Lammers now puts in the fastest lap. Hakkinen still going. He's made it quite far through the lap, surprisingly, actually. Can he make it back to the pits? I'm not sure. See now. Oh. Intriguing now. Hakkinen. Will he actually... Oh, and this is where it ends. Right before the pit lane, Mika Hakkinen will possibly grind to a halt. It is a bit of a downhill, but no, Hakkinen not even making it into the pits. The Finn electing to miss the pits and retire right next to the Marshall post there. And that is another retirement here at the first race of the season, and that is both Ligier's out of the race, as we take a look at Theo Fabi now firmly in the lead, but Jan Lammers is hunting him down with vigor and fierceness. As you can see there, that striking green and white Zach Speed in the background, sponsored by Heineken, of course, this season, and went from a very distinctive red and white livery to this green and white livery, which also very much stands out. And, well, might Lammers be dreaming of another victory here to start off his season? It would be quite something, as Zach Speed definitely wasn't tipped to be contending for wins here in the first couple of races, so Lammers definitely pushing, trying to extract the most out of his car. Now we have Mauro Baldi in 7th place, Ayrton Senna within a second. As they head into the middle sector, we still have Bobby Rahal out there in the field with that transmission failure, and his car not really getting cleared up, it seems. Oh, and another retirement. Roberto Moreno pulls off to the side, another suspension failure, but it is really going to be a race of attrition here for the first race of the season. And it looks like we might not have that many finishers here today, and reliability really an issue here for a lot of teams. As, wow, into the ditch, Roberto Moreno goes, adding some more damage onto that Eurobrun. I'm not sure if manager Junk Boots will be happy with that from Moreno, as he could have just parked it slightly further away from the barrier there. But, yep, the Marshals now trying to clear up that Eurobrun. And that is Moreno out after his earlier spin in the race. And we have Patrese now in 4th place as well. So Williams still have both of their cars running, which is very positive. And bit of a brighter side for BMW in general, I suppose, if both Williams would manage to finish. Patrese trying his best to get closer to Alain Prost. And we have Mauro Baldi now here fighting with Ayrton Senna. Senna in the slipstream. Will this be a chance for Senna to move up into 7th as he moves to the inside? Baldi on the outside. Senna making the move. Does he go up the inside? Tries to outbrake Baldi, and yes, he sure does. So Senna up into P7, and Al Unser Jr. will be his next target. And Senna really trying to make some sort of last ditch effort here with Tyrrell. Senna obviously seeing promise in the high nose cone design from the Tyrrell. Revolutionary design, some have called it. It would allow for more airflow under the car and, well, an increased downforce number. There is still much speculation about how a revised nose like this, a new design, can fare, but it seems Senna and Prost both getting along with it pretty nicely. And Tyrrell obviously also tipped for the possibility of becoming champions this season. But it's a long road ahead, and much can happen in these coming 16 races. And then I want to take a close look here at Jean Alesi. Alesi being a rookie into F1, the young Frenchman has impressed in the junior categories, and Minardi ready to nurture the talent of the young Frenchman. Very fast over a single lap, and many wondering if he can actually carry that over into a full Grand Prix scenario. But so far, Alesi, we know the Minardi has that underpowered Ferrari engine, but so far Alesi doing quite well. Obviously, it's a bit of a survival race for him, not necessarily has the downright pace, but for Alesi right now, just getting to the end of the race would already be very good. And although I'm sure team manager MDK would like to see the Minardi up in a higher spot, I suppose they're working with the tools they have at their disposal right now, and Alesi not doing too poorly. Definitely showing that there is something there, but I suppose he does need the machinery under him to also allow for him to shine. As Eddie Lawson now, the second Zach Speed also still running, so Lawson, very successful with Eurobrun last season, managing to score on multiple occasions, and yeah, just really proving that his skill on two wheels is carrying over into F1. Maybe not at the capacity of someone like Lammers, but it's definitely shown everyone that he is able to be competitive in an F1 field. And again, also one of those drivers, as long as they can put some consistent performances in, you don't count Lawson out to score some decent points throughout the season. Oh, and there was a marshal thinking about removing Bobby Rahaal's car right there, but I think he's doing some kind of workout routine right now where he just runs up and down. Oh, they're doing a bit of a tag team exercise there where they're handing off the baton now to each other, and the other marshal will try and get Bobby Rahal out of the way. Let's see if he can manage. He or she, I suppose, as can't really quite tell from this distance. Oh, and there we go. Oh, Marshall arriving. Will he push Rahal? Nope. Decides otherwise. But here then, Ricardo Patrese. Lammers putting in the fastest lap. Oh, and up the inside is Lammers. Up the inside is Lammers of Theo Fabi. We almost missed that move. But Lammers takes the lead here from the BMW. And Lammers with the Ford-powered Zach Speed in the lead now. The number one. Very apparent on the car. And Lammers showing why he deserves to have that number one as he takes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix. I'm sure manager Eddie Sum very happy right now to see his champion still performing at a high level, even if the machinery isn't quite up to the spec that they had last season. With that Honda power unit they had for 1989. The Ford definitely a bit of a downgrade, but Lammers showing he can definitely be competitive right now. The question being now, will Fabi come back here at the Dutchman? Down the straightaway they go. And no, Fabi definitely not getting close enough right now. There we can see Lammers now trying to eke out the gap, but I think Fabi right now just a tiny bit too fast on the straightaways. But it is this middle sector where Lammers should be able to make the difference. as we are just over halfway of the race. Ooh, bit of a lockup there for Lammers. Maybe a bit of a wedge patch on the track somewhere. That does allow Fabi to somewhat close up, but again, this middle sector is where Lammers has shown his skill, and as we figured, this is where he pulls away from Fabi behind, as the gap is now 1.5 seconds. And looking at the standings right now, it is only 13 runners remaining, and Lammers now catching up to the back of Keiji Matsumoto, the last of the running cars. You can see just how much more speed Lammers is carrying through those corners compared to someone like Matsumoto. Matsumoto definitely not having the confidence to push as hard in the Renault-powered Lotus. And this is the middle sector, again, where we'll see Lammers surely edging away from Teo Fabi behind. And now, let's see, will Matsumoto make it a bit of an issue here? No way past, but no, Matsumoto seemingly slowing down, letting Lammers pass. So good to see from the Japanese man, using his logic and his senses to allow for the Zach speed to pass through, and it shouldn't be much of an issue for Teo Fabi either, I suppose. And obviously, let's see how Matsumoto fares throughout the season. We don't expect much, but again, it shows that maybe if you can get your car to the end of the race, you might be in for a good result, as Patrese puts in the fastest lap now. Interesting to see, as I do expect some of the pit stops to come in here in the next couple of laps, and then it will be a longer stint on lower fuel until the end, I suppose. Fabi now getting past the Lotus of Matsumoto. There's still a nice view here from the car of Bobby Rahal. No, Marshall has picked it up. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. There is a possibility here for a Marshall to put in some effort. Oh my goodness. It only took about 20 minutes, but there is actually a Marshall that wants to work today. And yeah, let's see, where is he actually going to push the car? I think he has to go, he should be going up the hill, but no, the Marshall just, well, pushing car of Rahal. Down the field he goes, on his merry way. Looking to add a car to his collection, the Marshall is. And there we go now. Al Unser Jr. getting his pit call, his second pit call, looking to undercut maybe the likes of Ross Cheever. As,
at the end of this lap.
Both Williams still running, both Zach Speed still running, the Tyrrells also. And then we have, and we still have Fabi in the BMW, of course. We have Artenson in the second Tyrrell, JJ Leto. Actually check in, so the Honda driver within the points, so maybe not all is lost for Kovtech here. The Honda still in the points right now. Obviously Nakajima would have been a better bet for some higher scoring points, but Leto might only be expected to just get inside the points, so Not too bad, not too shabby. As the biggest, I suppose, loser so far would be Raxter. And his season starting with some misfortune, ending the season in 4th in the Constructors, of course, last year. Benetton ended up with 61 points, beating Minardi with a draw. It was Benetton getting the better results throughout the season, so they finished ahead of the Minardi, even on equal points. And yeah, Raxter won't be too happy right now, but there is still a slim chance here today for Baldi to get some points, as Unser Jr. now coming out of the pits. Might be under fire here from Baldi, but realistically, Al Unser should be able to power ahead once Baldi is out of the slipstream, and that's exactly what he did there. And on the fresh tires, it shouldn't be an issue here to pull away for... shouldn't be an issue to pull away from Baldi for Al Unser Jr., and that's exactly what he is doing. Oh, and issues now, more issues. Riccardo Patrese slow down the start-finish straight, and that will be a retirement for Williams. The lead Williams pulling to the side of the road on the right side of the start-finish straight, and the Marshals doing a good job trying to clear that car out as fast as they can, but Williams down to one runner. And yeah, it is Al Unser Jr. needing to carry the torch now for the Williams team as Senna comes into the pits. See now, comes out of the pits. The pit lane's still wet actually. You can see the raindrops. Senna comes out in P9. Behind Eddie Lawson and Jean Alesi and Mauro Baldi, which he will all overtake, I'm sure, once they come into pit. And Prost also getting the pit call, the leading Tyrrell right now. And Tyrrell doing a good job so far of getting their cars quite a ways into the race. Of course, two very experienced drivers here in Prost and Senna. Both know how to take care of a car, and maybe this is where it shows here in at the first race of the season. Ross Cheever now 6.6 seconds as he comes out of the box with his fresh tires. Running a bit wide there as Unser Jr. putting in the fastest lap and comes out still behind Ross Cheever. And Unser, of course, having to score the points here for Williams, so the pressure is on for the American. Bit of a poor start here today, but still inside the top 5 right now. And, well, possibly has the potential, I suppose, to challenge for a podium here if there is any more non-finishers, as Capelli comes into the pit now as well. Both of the Lotus cars now a lap down on the leader. And it is Lammers still in the lead as he also gets his pit call with Theo Fabi in second. Alain Prost not too far behind Theo Fabi, so a second place might still be on for the Frenchman.
Pit at the end of this lap.
We're still waiting for pit calls from Mauro Baldi, Jean Alesi, and Eddie Lawson, and then also Keiji Matsumoto. So even though that Lotus car doesn't quite have the pace, they've managed to, well, get very close to that top 10. with just surviving the race, I suppose. And here comes Lammers as we'll try to follow him into the pits. See now, here comes Lammers. And still that wet pit lane, so very tricky, has to be careful. The Zach Speed is ready. Go. Putting on those tires. And 5.8 seconds. Quite a fast pit stop for Lammers there. And he'll surely come out in the lead once again with Bobby and Prost not too far behind. Bobby successful. There is Prost now. Here as Prost is hunting down Fabi. And we have Alonso Jr. pretty close to Ross Cheever now as well, but I think Cheever might have the upper hand. Pitted slightly later. But the professor now trying to hunt down Fabi, the Italian, in front of him in his Tyrrell. Tyrrell versus BMW, and then the Zach Speed in the lead again. It would be quite a feat here for Zach Speed to win the opening race, even though performance wasn't looking on their side. Coming into this opening race. But we'll keep an eye on the gap here between Fabi and Prost. It's 2 seconds right now. If it gets closer, then we will try to monitor and see if a fight breaks out for that second podium position. Meanwhile, we have Ross Cheever and Unser actually not far behind, only about a second or so. So Cheever fighting for that P4 and Unser trying to get the Williams up the order. We will closely monitor that gap as well. In 6th place we have Senna now. Leto for Honda in 7th. Mauro Baldi, the last scoring position so far with his Benetton. Then comes Jean Alesi in 9th. Eddie Lawson in 10th, so a top 10 for Lawson would be quite impressive. Then Ivan Capelli and Keiji Matsumoto, both of the Lotus cars in 11th and 12th, the last runners of the race. 12 cars remaining of the 22, so attrition very high here at the start of the season. And Lammers now taking the fastest lap, increasing his advantage, as now Prost with a 19.73 or so tenths quicker than Lammers. So Prost putting on the pressure now, and he is still in a contention here for the win, actually. If he keeps up that pace, there is definitely a possibility for Prost to challenge for a win. So yeah. We'll keep an eye on that as Unser Jr. now getting very close to Cheever. And here comes Al Unser Jr. down the Reta Opposta on the inside. Will Cheever yield? Will he fight? And no, Al Unser Jr. getting that move done before the end of the straightaway. And the Williams now up into P4. And the American Alonso Jr. very much into the stride now, getting some rhythm throughout the race, and managing to put his Williams, I suppose, where it belongs. So, yeah, tricky conditions here today at Interlagos. It was expected, rain was expected, but there's Lammers now. Lammers with the fastest lap, and then we have another retirement incoming. It is Capelli pulling to the side, so first retirement of the season for Lotus as Capelli pulls off with a possible transmission failure there. That'll be the end for Lotus. It will still mean Capelli will be classified in P12, so not too bad for Lotus. And I'm sure Lotus will be developing long into the season. They filled up their coffers with Matsumoto's money, and they are ready to, well, fight their way up the order, I suppose, throughout the next couple of upgrade rounds. As JJ Leto now in P7 for Honda. And Leto again. JJ Leto also one of those drivers where, well, expect quite a bit from him. He's shown promise. He's obviously a young talent as well. Also Finnish, same to Hakkinen, and well, both of them having to prove themselves to their fellow countrymen, I suppose. Oh, and now it is here. We have the BMW of Theo Fabi slowing as Alain Prost gets past now. So throttle issue for Fabi, and he's only heading down the Reto Posta. So a long way to go until he gets to the pits. And this might actually allow the Williams of Al Unser Jr. to get close. Because he's losing lots and lots of time here, Theo Fabi, and that last straightaway, if he even manages to get there, that's going to be a massive time loss for Fabi. I'm sure once he puts a fresh set of tires on, he'll be flying down the track again, but it's only if he actually gets to that pit. And let's actually keep an eye on Al Unser Jr. as he's making his way through the middle sector. I'm not quite sure. Fabi already within 12 seconds of Al Unser Jr. And it will have to be 21 qualifying laps for Theo Fabi after he comes into the pits. So Fabi now, let's see where he is. Now heading into the pits as Al Unser Jr. coming down the straightaway, and he will be passing Fabi right about now. So Fabi will just about be a pit stop behind, I suppose. But it's going to have to be a quick fix for the Williams squad. And let's see now where Fabi comes out. But it is Prost in P2 now, and if there is any pace left for Prost, here is where he can make his way closer to Jan Lammers. But I'm sure team boss Domi will be delighted to see Prost in P2 right now, and then Ayrton Senna well inside the points. Obviously Senna, a bit of a disappointing performance, I suppose, but all Tyrrell is looking for is a solid start to the season, and mainly an influx of cash. So realistically, they need both drivers to finish inside of a point-paying position to get some financial influx into the team. Fabi, yes, now out again, and he is at 11 seconds behind Ross Cheever, which is a deficit that I'd imagine he can still make up, but let's see how he does over the next couple of laps. There's actually, I think, Jean Alesi and Eddie Lawson nearly fighting for position here, just outside the points, fighting for P9. Obviously, both of them wanting to be in that P9 position, just so in case someone ahead still has an issue in these last 20 laps. And might give them an opportunity to take advantage and get a single point on the board. Lacey doing good so far, and Lawson in the second Zag speed. About a minute behind his teammate right now. So I suppose if your teammate does end up winning the race, a P8 would be the minimum requirement, at least finishing inside the points. But again, Jean Alesi looking solid, looking solid. He's not put a foot wrong so far, and he's just running his race, trying to get that experience under his belt in an F1 car. And so far, just doing a stellar job, even though it looks like Eddie Lawson might be on his way to challenge for the P9 position there. And back to Jan Lammers now. Less than 20 laps to go. The Dutchman still in the lead. The lion on his helmet. And he is showing the fighting spirit inside of him. He's ready to challenge for a win whenever he sees an opportunity. And, yep, the number 1 very fitting on his car right now. As Prost now in P2, and let's actually see how lap times compare. Last time for Lammers a 20.3 and Prost a 19.76 tenths faster for the Professor with about 18 laps to go. It is definitely not out of the question for Prost to challenge for a win here, and it might be a brotherly duel here between Domi and Edison for P1. Oh, and now we have another DNF. Let's see, Keiji Matsumoto, where is he? There he is. Yellow smoke, oh, not yellow smoke. It is white smoke coming out of the back of Keiji Matsumoto's car as he's heading through Pineirinho, I think. And then down to Pico do Pato. But I'm not sure he'll make it to the pits. The engine still has some life left in it, but not quite sure Matsumoto will make it. And no, there it is. The engine giving up a double DNF here for Lotus in their first race. The only, I guess, the only good thing they can take away from this race is that they did end up in classified in position 11 and 12, so definitely not the worst performance today, and a solid start to the season for Lotus, but nothing special. And unfortunately, reliability not looking too great for Lotus once again. This has been the bane of the Lotus existence for the past couple of years, and now it is Ayrton Senna reporting issues. He's also reporting issues with the engine, and there it is. White smoke out of the back of Senna's engine as well, so Senna pushing too hard possibly. And losing engine power, and the question being if he can make it until the pit stop. Until the pits, but it's looking very unlikely, and this is looking so good for Tyrrell. Both of their drivers well inside the points. And no, it is Senna pulling off, so Senna will not get his car to the pits and will also pull off to the side. And then more drama. The second Zach speed of Eddie Lawson pulls off with a puncture. And it is all kicking off, and it looks again like, well, we only have the points finishing, or the points scoring positions still running out there. Only 8 cars remaining in the opening race of 1990, and reliability proving to be difficult here for all teams included. So very much an exploratory opening race, all the teams finding their feet and experiencing car troubles along the way. And yeah, it is just one of those issues. Everyone obviously trying to gain that performance early on in the season, but yeah, you do have to finish a race to take the full benefit out of your package, and that does mean that Jean Alesi is now in the points, and Minardi does have a positive to take away from this race. Even though the pace hasn't looked good, Alesi managing to get that Minardi inside the points, and whatever happens now, it'll be a positive weekend for Minardi in their underpowered package at the moment. Single point will be on the board for them, guaranteed. As Lammers now still leading the race, and the gap between Lammers and Prost really not changing too much. Still roughly 5 seconds between the two, and unless Lammers makes a mistake here, he is heading towards a race victory. But let's not put a commentator's curse on Lammers, and let's just see what happens. As Prost is still on the heels, of course, and then it's Al Unser Jr. for Williams, and Ross Cheever for Ferrari. So Cheever also dragging that Ferrari up the order, lasting the race so far up in P4. And it's Teo Fabi, unfortunately BMW dropping back, and here it is, Ross Cheever with a loose wheel, but not sure what happened there. Maybe with the bumps on the track, reporting some suspension issue. Maybe it's a wheel issue. But Cheever can still get to the pits, and they'll change out the tires on the car, which does mean that Cheever will possibly drop back to P6, possibly. Let's see here, Leto now coming into turn 1. Maybe Cheever can still get out ahead. It's a very tight pit exit, but here comes Leto now. Down the straightaway they go, and here comes Leto in the Honda. Down the straight on the inside goes Leto, but surely Cheever has extra grip now on those fresh tires. No, Cheever will drop behind, actually. So Leto looking hungry here. He wants that top 5, but I'm sure Cheever, once he gets these tires up into the window, you can already see it closing up right onto the back of Leto again. And it is Ross Cheever onto the back of Leto, and I'm sure we'll see a move here down the next straightaway, as Cheever should be much faster on those fresh tires. And I do want to look at the battle, but we have another issue here with Jan Lammers. Lammers, the Drivers' World Championship, is pulling over to the side, takes his wheel off while pulling over with an engine issue, and that'll be end of the race for Jan Lammers. Alain Prost takes the lead of the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it is game over for both Zach Speed cars. Al Unser Jr. moves into second for Williams. BMW back up into the podium positions. Then it is Ross Cheever, who's managed to get back past JJ Leto. My apologies for missing that, but obviously the race leader retiring is a bigger deal. And, well, we see it throughout the years that every once in a while you get one of these races where surviving is the biggest part. And, well, coming into this season, the first race is where this one happens. You usually have one or two of those a season, and, well, Interlagos definitely showing that reliability can be a big factor, as Leto still in P5 now, top 5 for Honda. Definitely, I don't think Kovtek would have expected Leto to be running in this position. Of course, there was Nakajima, but I think if it ends up the way it ends up, with the positions being as they are, I think Kovtek will be very happy to come away with a solid points haul. That does mean Mauro Baldi in P6 for Benetton, Jean Alesi in 7th. So very nice for Minardi. And well, there's only a couple of runners remaining, and it is Prost with a commanding lead over Al Unser Jr. and Theo Fabi. And well, is this the season for Tyrrell? Many have tipped them to be the championship contender, and with no wins to their name in the past season, and I don't think they had a win either in 1988. Might this be the turnaround for Domi and his experienced lineup of Alain Prost and Ayrton Senna? Is this where Tyrrell turns it around? They've been looking in trouble. They've had issues with sponsors. You can see how bare this Tyrrell car is. And it is very much a last-ditch effort here for Tyrrell. They brought that nose cone design, the high nose cone design as they call it, to increase their performance, and very much spending everything they have on it to get a better starting position for the 1990 season. And is this where it all starts paying off for Tyrrell, where they finally can make it out of that midfield fight and to the front of the field? There's 10 laps remaining where Alain Prost proves if the concept works, and if Tyrrell, as a very much a customer team, not like the likes of Ferrari, McLaren in the past, have had the funds to do, can Tyrrell beat the big dogs here today, as Al Unser Jr. struggling with the brakes, also reporting issues. Is this a disappointing end to Unser's race for Williams? Let's see here. Can he make it to the pits? Let's hope he does. And he's losing time here as the BMW behind. Theo Fabi inching closer. Very much not inching. He is taking seconds per corner out of Alonso Jr. You see Jr. struggling up the hill there. Will be a late pit stop for Unser, and it will be a question if he can actually hold on to the podium position, because Ross Cheever will definitely be inside the pit stop range with how slow Alonso Jr. is going. So here comes Theo Fabi now, trying to find a way past the Williams. Ooh, actually backs out of it. Gets a little scared to try and make the overtake. Now heading onto the start-finish straight. Here's where Fabi should get past. Yes, he eventually does. But now it is Al Unser Jr. heading into the pits. There will be a qualifying run towards the end for Unser Jr. trying to hunt down Ross Cheever. I'm sure we'll see the fastest lap pop up for Unser Jr. here in the coming laps then. But comes in. Let's see then. Oh, and the pit crew is late. They're late. They didn't expect Unser in. They didn't expect Unser in. And they are only now starting to work on the car. So it's a very lengthy stop here for Al Unser Jr. He definitely loses out and actually goes to the back of the field now, losing 15 seconds. What should have been a 5-second pit stop turned into 15 seconds for Al Unser Jr. The team just wasn't ready, maybe already on their way out, preparing to move on to the next circuit. But Williams with a big blunder there, as Al Unser Jr. now comes out in 7th. And last of the runners. So He might be able to overhaul Jean Alesi and Baldi still, but I think Leto is out of the question. And we'll monitor Alancer Jr. now, but yeah, he's just lost a boatload of time, and there's no way he can make all of that up again in these last 8 laps here. First target for him will be Jean Alesi. And Alain Prost now with an ever-commanding lead, an ever-increasing gap to Theo Fabi. 38 seconds for the Professor. And will he take the first victory here at Interlagos? It sure looks like it. Sure looks like Tyrrell might have their foot in the door of glory. And here it is, Alain Prost coming across the line to start lap 64 out of 71. And Theo Fabi now in second place, and then late on throttle issue for Jean Alesi. He's only getting to the middle sector now, so it will be an easy overtake for Alancer Jr., I suppose. And Alesi will just be happy if he can finish the race at this point. As, yeah, you can see there, Alancer Jr. now on that fresh rubber. Overhauling the time on Jean Alesi. Here he comes then. Can he already find a way past here? Alancer Jr. tries to move to the inside, yes, and Alesi not making any sort of trouble out of it, as Unser now past the struggling Minardi, the ailing Minardi, and now trying to pick up the pace to get close to Mauro Baldi, some 10 seconds ahead of him. As Alesi comes in. Prost with the fastest lap now, late on into the race. As Alesi as well comes into the pits now. As opposed to Williams, the Minardi crew ready, 5 seconds, and Alesi is out again. But yeah, close call for Minardi. And here we go then, Alesi now can put in a couple of qualifying laps, but at this point he should be just conserving the car and trying to get it to the end of the race, similar to how Alain Prost is probably managing his Tyrrell until the end. And it is Al Unser Jr., the big question mark now. Can he still get inside the top 5? Maybe even the top 4, but I don't think Unser will have the pace to do that. So, let's see here. The cap turned from 10 seconds into... What can Unser do here? Well, it's not much of an improvement, is it? Unser isn't going much faster on those fresh tires. Let's see what the last lap was for Unser. Last lap for Unser was a 19.8, and Baldi still putting in 20.4, so only about 6/10 gain for Unser, which won't be enough at this rate. He definitely won't be catching the Benetton ahead. Oh, and surely not. Surely not. In the dying embers of the race, Alain Prost, smoke coming out of the engine for the Tyrrell. And will this be the end of the Tyrrells in this race? Let's see here. Prost probably doing everything he can to try and get himself back to the pits. I'm not even sure if they can do anything about it. Engine issue usually means the end. Still has seems to have some sort of power in the car, but he's not even pulling into the pits. He's not even pulling into the pits, so surely this will mean race over for Alain Prost and also JJ Leto. Now, oh, JJ Leto with a big mistake, it seems, as the tire has come off. So, late lapse of concentration here for the young Finn, and let's hope he's okay. But let's focus here on Alain Prost. Yes, Alain Prost has turned off right behind turn 1, and it is a fall from grace for Tyrrell, as everything was looking to line up for the Tyrrell squad. It is Teo Fabi taking the lead for BMW. It is Ross Cheever that is going to head up into P2, and then Mauro Baldi, the Italian, who very much didn't seem like he'd be anything impressive, is going to end up with a podium. Unless something ends up going wrong, but there is only 5 cars remaining in this race, and it is quite incredible to see this rate of attrition here early on into the season, perhaps hinting towards the team not paying any attention to their reliability early on in the season here and trying to maximize their results here early on, which is definitely taking a toll, it seems. And with about 4 laps to go, is BMW who might be on the winning end. So Alain Prost will still be classified P6, but it's very much a story of what could have been, I suppose. And, well, let's give credit where credit is due. Mauro Baldi putting in a great performance. And then Jean Alesi lining up to get a top 5 with Minardi, which was, well, seemed completely out of the question at the start of this race. But, yeah, Teo Fabi now is heading on to a great result here for BMW, and a team that was very much tipped to be the championship leaders at the start of this season are heading towards that prediction. And it is Baldi now trying to fend off Alonso Jr. in the back there, as Jr. has just put in the fastest lap with a, see what has he done exactly. It is a 19 flat. I think that's 3/10 faster than anyone, even Alain Prost. But those fresh tires really working for Unser Jr. And the question being now, can he still get up to the back of Baldi here to get inside the podium positions? Well, let's obviously not forget Ross Cheever ahead, very much in an underpowered Ferrari, but somehow the Ferrari finds its way to the front of the grid where it belongs. And Ross Cheever looking like he's going to get away with a podium here today. We'll just follow Teo Fabi around. Actually, no, we'll switch to Mauro Baldi, as very much Alonso Jr. and him that we want to keep an eye on. And let's actually see if we can get an onboard here with Alonso Jr. And see how these last couple of laps turn out here. Can Unser Jr. hunt down Mauro Baldi in front for the last podium position? There's about 2 seconds between the two. And I'm sure Raxter is shouting at Baldi right now in the pit lane. He won't be doing that over the radio, but he will be in himself, trying to cheer Baldi on, trying to get him to fend off the Williams behind, and still salvage a good race here for Benetton. As Unser Jr. now creeping ever closer. 1.7 or so seconds between the two now. And we know how fast this Williams is down the straightaway. Sure, he'll gain more. They come across the line. It is almost a second now. The gap is coming down, and it's coming down fast. And it is a lap and a half that Baldi has to survive. See there, 1.1 seconds. Is maybe in the middle sector that Baldi can find some respite. Unser Jr. looking feisty. He's chasing down that podium. He's closing up to Mauro Baldi. And it is Theo Fabi heading on to the last lap. He's on lap 71. Last lap of the Grand Prix. Theo Fabi heading towards the victory, but right now we're focused on Baldi and Unser Jr. And now Unser Jr. heading into the last corner. They'll have one more lap to go, but the speed difference of the BMW and the Benetton should be pretty big, as Unser Jr. now on the inside of the Benetton of Mauro Baldi, heading into turn 1. And Unser Jr. gets past even before the first turn, and that surely will be move done for Williams and will secure them a podium position. But all eyes are now on BMW after their horrible season last season, which saw them end up in 10th in the constructors, only beating Williams, their customer team. And it is Theo Fabi that will take the victory here at Interlagos in Brazil. Fabi comes across the line to give BMW their first win of the season and the first BMW win ever in Formula 1. And then we have Ross Cheever in the Ferrari, very much not expected to be on the podium today, but Cheever hauls that Ferrari into second place. And then at the death, it was Al Unser Jr. overhauling Mauro Baldi to finish the Williams on the podium. And here comes Mauro Baldi then, a very respectable performance for Benetton. I'm sure Raxter would have liked to have seen Piquet fight for the win, but all in all, not a bad result. And then the big story, Jean Alesi, the rookie, the French rookie in the minority, finishing inside the top 5, and it will be very encouraging for Alesi, and very encouraging for Minardi, as actually Jean Alesi, has he lost engine power? He might have lost his fuel towards the end of the race here, and he is taking out the flagman. Oh my god, Jean Alesi, the rookie mistake as he takes out the flagman, but he does finish in P5. And what an end to the race as Alesi gets extracted from the car and only just about makes it to the finish line. The Frenchman with a great debut race. And there is Theo Fabi. He will be basking in the glory tonight, and BMW is off to their first win. Let's take a look at the full race results here. It was Theo Fabi in the BMW after 1 hour and 38 minutes to come across the line with a victory. And then Ross Cheever in second for Ferrari. Al Unser Jr. picking up the third spot for Williams, so finishing out or rounding out the podium positions. Mauro Baldi for Benetton in P4. Jean Alesi getting that spectacular top 5 for Minardi. Alain Prost, unfortunately, the win slipping out of his fingers in 6th, 5 laps down. JJ Lito then in 7th for Honda, still scoring some points. Jan Lammers, long looking like the victor of this race, unfortunately retired in P8. Then it is Ayrton Senna with a water leak in P9. Eddie Lawson, the second Zach Speed, also out of this race with a puncture. Keiji Matsumoto and Ivan Capelli, 11th and 12th, respectively, for Lotus. Riccardo Patrese, the first Williams the first car for the Williams in 13th. Moreno for Eurobrand 14th. Mika Hakkinen 15th. Bobby Rahal 16th. John Nielsen 17th. Nelson Piquet 18th. Maurizio Gugelmin in the minority in 19th. Andretti, the second Ferrari, in 20th. Nigel Mansell with that early retirement together with Satoru Nakajima in 20 seconds. What a race to start the season off with. It was in the balance for all the teams, it seemed. And, well, it's been a great one. And let's look forward to Kyalami next time we head back to South Africa. After a long break from F1, we return to South Africa. It's been a great race. I hope you guys enjoyed the first race of the season, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.